roll. Fox.
Radke,
Here.
Krieger,
Yes.
Begic,
Here.
Coonan,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Garrett,
Here.
Warren present.
Motion to excuse Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Support. Okay, we're good.
Are there any changes to the agenda?
You need to vote.
Oh, okay, I apologize. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I'll move it.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the current agenda?
So moved.
So changes and then,
We're good, but I'll move the minutes.
okay, thank you. So with the minutes from February 1st, any discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is public input. If there is anyone from the audience that would like to speak, please head to the podium at this time and sign your name.
I think he's on the agenda. You're next on the agenda.
Anyone from the public? With none, let's move on to petitions and communications. First, we will hear from the Bangor-Monitor Metropolitan Water District.
My name's Terry Bahalski. I'm one of the board members from Bangor-Monitor Water District. Along with me today is Doug Cummings. He's one of the board members. And our engineer, Jay Wheeler, who's a member, who works for us, but he represents Williams and Kibbe Association, and he'll be doing our presentation this afternoon. And also, thank you for granting us this opportunity.
Thank you, Terry. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure this afternoon to be before you on this 1st of March and Fat Tuesday and all those good things, and spring is on its way, I promise. Looking at our map, the Bangor-Monitor District is partially in Bangor Township and partially in Monitor Township. It's been in existence for quite a long time. And we're looking at a couple of projects that have been on our 5-year plan, and they've been on my radar for quite a while as needs within the district. Directing your attention down to the corner of the map, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this is what we call on Euclid Avenue and Midland Road. This is kind of Prescription City or Drugstore Center. There you got the CVS and the Rite Aid right across. If you go down Euclid Avenue to the south to Fisher and then west to Kaysmeyer, that's where one of our projects starts. It'd be Kaysmeyer Road Fisher Road, between Kaysmeyer and 2 Mile. And then another project we're looking at for infrastructure funding is a bore underneath US 10. So I'll talk about that one first. A little bit about my background. I'm a licensed civil engineer with William Kibbe and Associates. I've been associated with the Bangor-Monitor Water District since 1987. When I was a young man that would go out and keep track of where the water main got installed and how deep and exactly where, so I could draw the as-built plans and they could find it again in the future if there was ever an issue with it. So been with them a long time. They're my longest and dearest client. On the bore under US 10, I put a lot of detail in your packet that I passed out with our letterhead on it in blue. And it's probably too much detail, but such is the curse of engineering. So I tried to summarize everything in the cover letter. Basically, we've got 2 projects, the bore under US 10, and I verified these numbers with a contractor that has done work in the district before. And we estimate that bore at $120,000, and then the Fisher Road Arnold Court water main, which is the second project, we estimate that at $500,000. So a little bit of background on the US 10 at 2 Mile Road. Currently, there's an existing 6-inch AC water main, asbestos cement is the material, and it was installed in 1950. So it predates US 10. So when you look at the drawings, you don't see US 10 on it because it wasn't there yet. So that water main is kind of at a normal depth, a little bit deeper. It's about 7 to 7.5 feet below the highway. But it's been in there a long time, and we don't talk about it much because we don't want to jinx it, because if something were to ever happen to that main and it were to break, it would probably shut down the highway. So it's a critical connection under US 10 that kind of combines the north and south sides of the district. So if you were to decide to fund this project, it would allow for a new 10-inch diameter HDPE water main, which the nice thing about HDPE is they weld it together on the surface. I don't know how familiar you are with the construction process of that, but the joints are actually thicker and stronger than the pipe itself. So it's basically one long piece of pipe that won't break. I did a similar project back in 2009 that's just north of Birch Run, and that actually is a bore under I-75. So that same type of pipe was used there, and it's been in service since without any issues. It would enhance system reliability and also improve the water quality and fire flows for the area residents. So that one's a critical connection. The other one that I wanted to highlight here on our map is this section of Fisher Road. On the east side, it has a Bay County Department of Water and Sewer has an 8-inch connection there, which goes along Kaysmeyer all the way to Salzburg Road. So it would continue that loop. And then on the west side, goes up to the intersection, and there we would want to connect that into the county's system again. So the county has 8-inch at both ends, and this piece of 4-inch is kind of in the middle. So it's way undersized and really needs to be upgraded. And that main has also been in the ground since 1950. In that stretch is also Arnold Court. There's a 4-inch AC water main there that was installed in '59. Then it was extended as 6-inch in 1967. So we got a hodgepodge of things going on there. Additionally, this section of 4-inch diameter provides the connection between the 2 county mains. Funding for this new 8-inch water main would provide improved water quality and fire flows for area residents. So I included the map, some detailed estimates that again were checked by a contractor that's currently bidding work, so he knows. The other thing I would highlight is I included the design drawing for the section under US 10 where that HDPE bore would be proposed. And so we've already designed that. It's ready to go out for bids. The other section on Fisher Road it's designed up here, but it's not on paper yet. So we still have to go through engineering and design on that. But yeah, as you go through the package, you'll see the old plans, and you're talking about 1950s vintage here, so you can see the corners are turned up on some, and we did our best to scan it in, and these are reproductions, so you can read the originals, but barely. So Definitely a needed improvement for the area, and it's exactly the kind of thing that you want to see infrastructure funding go towards, I believe, is things that'll give you a lot of bang for your buck. We think these two projects would do exactly that. I would open it up for any questions. Again, thank you for your time. Mr. Begay.
Madam Chair. So infrastructure, so from the feds, I know that sometimes those funds trickle down slowly and sometimes they don't reach it down to the local level. So we talked about that before. I don't know if you investigated what the chances are of getting any of that funding, or if it's slim to none, or?
Yeah, unfortunately, slim to none. I mean, we've looked at, the drinking water revolving fund loan program, but there again, it's an arduous process, and you're up against a lot of other worthy projects. So trying to keep this local and funnel through Bay County, I think, is our best avenue to get this funded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. So it looks like this has been going bad for a while. So the water district, I know they charge, I think they charge by the cubic foot. I'm not really positive, but they come down, and then they throw that number out to all the townships, and they decide what they're going to charge the users. And I know everybody always laughs at Bay City because their user rate there's such a big discrepancy from what the raw water rate is and what they charge, but mostly it's because they have their own water department and they have to fix stuff all the time. And I know in Portsmouth Township, they raise theirs a little bit because when they anticipate there might be something big coming up that they want to have some money in the bank, almost like when you're fixing your house. So they got to have, they want that cushion. What kind of cushion does Bangor-Monitor have?
Yeah, Terry might be better able to speak to that, but basically we do have some funds that we keep on hand for emergencies, for breaks, to handle things like that. When it comes to a new project or replacement of an old main, that's a big chunk of change at one time.
Well, I guess Essexville, they went through that with changing it. Jamie knows that, and some of these, Craig lives out in Essexville, they just went and they sold a bond because they wanted to work on the water, they wanted the water line change, so they just said to people, do you want this change or not want to change it? And, that was a pretty hefty project, it was millions of dollars, and they just went out and bonded it out, and because they knew it was bad, and rather than just wait, they got it done. I think the records you agree with that, Mr. Johnson, since you're paying for it now. Yeah. And, so that's kind of, I want to know how much money how much you saved in the last 5 years, how much you put away, for emergencies such as this. That'd be kind of interesting to know.
You want me to answer that?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know the exact amount, but we do have some funds set aside for emergencies. We have continuous funds. I have to check my exact figure. I know it's up there, but we've also done grants and
decisions. I thought you guys decided to give it to someone else to do this.
Yeah, you could get grant money, other money out there too.
Well, it looks like this has been going for a while, but it sounds, like when you look at the lines and the age of them, that this is something that was probably people have been talking about for a few years already. So I guess my bigger question is, so how are we prepared for that event? And I don't know if maybe you have, and I don't know, but I know that from my experience and what I've seen from the townships I deal with, part of the city I have, and I have 2 different townships in my district, and they kind of look out. They're kind of looking futuristic and say these things might happen, so we're going to charge a little bit more. People won't like it, but they have to understand that we have to do this because of these reasons. And rather than saying we'll just keep our rates low, like some, and I don't know who does it and who doesn't, but but I know there's townships that keep the rates low in anticipation that people might get mad if we raise them too much. They can say, well, anybody can say, well, our rates are lower than the cities, but we got a lot more lines going on there. We got a lot more going on, but me and Commissioner Coonan and Commissioner Radke, we all live in the city. We're kind of used to it, and it's just part of the cost of living here, and we get that. But, and even the Essexville, they also get it, you know, like when they wanted something done, they bonded it out and just got it done and moved on. I guess that's my point, you know, I mean, I think there's ways to do this, you know, but.
We understand that, that's what, we have a little bit of funds. I said I don't remember exact amounts, but they're considerable. But we're also looking for opportunities that are out there that rise each year where we get some assistance from local government and federal, et cetera.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Burge.
Yeah, just, I had to step away for a moment, and I may have missed it. I don't believe I got your handout. Do you have an estimate on the cost to go under 10?
Yes, 120,000.
120,000? Okay. I would have anticipated a much larger cost on that.
It's a short board, it's only a couple hundred pages.
And I think part of your challenge too is probably you have a smaller base than a typical township does. How many residents do you serve in Monitor, Bangor?
We have about 1,400 rather residents that we serve as water at this moment.
1,400. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to receive this presentation?
Support?
Moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. So moving under Section B, from the Bay County Sheriff, they are seeking approval for out-of-state training for Deputy Mark Christian.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
Yes. Is it somebody here that I can,
The sheriff asked me to address this issue for him if it came up. I did talk to him about it earlier.
you have your badge?
I
Deputizer.
So my question is, so he's going to training and it's canine, is he taking a dog with him?
I believe so. I believe that it's, according to the sheriff, most of the dogs in the state of Michigan. This was training that was involving a lot of the police animals in Michigan, and this is 100% covered in cost by Penn County Township.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if he was taking his...
It's my understanding that he is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's go into C. Friend of the court is seeking approval of renewal of the clear service.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. D, Director of Administrative Services, they are seeking $1,800 in appropriation from fund balance for
So moved.
force.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
I'd like, Craig, go ahead and give us a rundown on what this is exactly, so people look at this and they go, what is ShieldForce?
Sure. So ShieldForce is a newly developed app-based program designed for mobile devices in the sense of like tablets, cell phones, stuff, things like that nature. This gives officers I guess a little bit more visible sense of, safety, potential safety issues and things of that nature. It also is a nice way to incorporate them into the law enforcement bubble, if you will, and for on calls late in the evening, 911 would have visibility on their monitors, as will other law enforcement agencies. They will know that an animal control officer is out and about. So it's a very nice piece of information. It's basically a safety aspect. So knowledge is definitely safety, and if you go out on a call, these things certainly help. So in short, that's basically what this program is for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under Section E, this is from the Office of Community Corrections. They are seeking authorization for grant application.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under Section F, Director of Recreation and Facilities, they are seeking approval to change to the 2022 fee schedule for the community center.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Mr.
I was
Pickett.
contacted by some of the volleyball players who weren't able to be included in this package, so they'd be happy to be included. I think it's a savings for them in the long run.
Thank you. Any other discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving into G, Buildings and Grounds Superintendent, they are seeking $3,590 for the appropriation to allow for removal of 51 pole attachments by the City of Bay City.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
Johnny, maybe you can answer this. Was that fiber ever used?
I don't know that for certain.
Because I remember, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. So what that project was is back in the end of 2013, that fiber was ran from the county building to the Bay Area and ISD.
Right.
And it was crushed. And so we were never able to use that as a backup facility. So essentially we had gotten the infrastructure started, agreement was signed a number of years before, and then in April or May, shortly after I started in 2014, it was crushed and there was no ability to rerun fiber against the crushed pole.
So while we've got you up here, what did it cost us in having this all installed, and now we're going to pay to have it taken back down? I mean, I see there's already a reduction in the cost, and it's kind of humorous with ProTech, telling us what they've got. Well, I would expect that the guy that's running the bucket truck was skilled and has all the qualifications to do the job. And I'm glad to see that it's less than what you're asking for, but I'm curious to what the expense was for the county to get involved with this. I know it was before your time when that was put into play.
I don't have the invoice for 2010. I'm not sure how much the cost was off the top of my head.
Yeah, maybe if you could dig in for me. I'm just curious, because I know that we debated on whether or not we were going to get into this and felt that it was a good investment for us, but I'm assuming it being crushed was...
We've also been paying for something for 8 years that we should be paying for, so, I tried to get out of it, just breaking the contract last year, numerous emails, and I said, we're not using it, you have to take it down.
Yep.
And this is what here we are today.
I keep getting this annual bill that I'm questioned about. That's how it all came about. And there is a correction. There is 10 poles, not 51. 41 belong to the road commission, and they utilize those for traffic lights. So that the price from the city is accurate. The number of poles should actually be 10.
And I guess my other question would be, the party that crushed the fiber optics, were they ever held responsible for?
It's my understanding sediment and pipe crushed it.
What did?
It was sediment, dirt in the pipe crushed the fiber. It wasn't an actual company that crushed
So
it. We had hit a storm, and I think something hit the pipe that was crushed.
I don't know if it's the ship or...
Yeah.
Well, if it was a ship, they should have been held responsible, and if it was because of sediment, whoever installed it properly should have been held responsible for it. I'm just looking for the expense that we went through, and now the expense we're incurring, though it's minimal at best. I'm sure what we paid for everything was a lot more than what it's going to cost. So if ever you get a chance to get that information, if you just want to shoot me an email.
Sure, I think that we can just, we have our financial system that we can just pull it, ask invoices from. And
Awesome.
We should be able to do that and do some digging on that.
Okay, digging, the big pun, huh?
Yeah. No pun intended. To be able to do that. But, I think John and I were talking, and I said, we're not using it, let's just get rid of it. It's an expense, and at first, even us talking amongst ourselves, I said, there's no way there's that many poles because it was from First Street to the river, and so there would have been no, logistically to me, it didn't seem like there was even.
Well, the other question I have, each department watches what their budgets are. And so for me to see that this is coming from buildings and grounds, I would think that it should be more an IT responsibility on the funds instead of building and grounds. But I know everybody's got to have a category, but we all watch where our money's going and.
Well, I pay all the utilities through all the county gas lights.
Okay.
And so when I was getting that bill annually, I was questioning Kim Presnitz on it. So we started doing some digging. And that's what, because I wasn't sure what these pole attachments were for. I don't have any pole attachments.
Well, I'm glad you guys are on top of it.
Yeah, the agreement was signed in 2010 as an evergreen agreement from a previous manager, so I think it was one of those things when we did into it, we said this isn't something that we need to continue on doing.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll get you the invoice though, we will find out the initial cost.
thank you.
If you have any idea, what was the intention in the first place? I wasn't supposed to make things easier or what have you, and then it never even got used, so then.
So if we lost power here, we would be able to run our facility from the Antioch ISD.
Okay.
They were going to be our backup location, where now we have one in Southfield that was going to be Bay Aranac ISD. We were going to have a system there, and they were going to be our backup system.
Security.
Well, right, and we lose
Yeah.
power or something here, and we're down for a number of days, it was for business continuity practices.
Got it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving into Section H, Bay County Fair and Youth Exposition Board is seeking approval of fairground improvements.
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Any discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Section I, Emergency Management Coordinator is seeking approval of Emergency Management Performance Grant for $12,367.
So support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving into item J with payables. Moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Any discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Section K from the Finance Officer. Motion to receive item 1, Analysis of General Fund Equity 2022.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion there? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Continuing on with the Finance Officer, motion to receive item number 2, Executive Directive number 2007-11.
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Any discussion? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Final item, item number 3, motion to receive lease threshold amount per GASB 87.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion here? With none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving into referrals. Do we have any referrals? No referrals. Any unfinished business? Next, any new business? Is there a need for a closed session?
There's not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anything under miscellaneous?
Thank you. Just to see if I can get a little bit of an update on our search for somebody to help the county board with financing. If anybody knows, or maybe Tom could give us a little direction on where we're at.
On what?
Replacement for Bob Redmond.
Tiffany, she's been taking applications. The application's closed tomorrow.
Okay.
And so that's where we're at. We'll see how many, then we'll know from there, then we can move forward.
So after the applications have been accepted, then what's the next step?
Then to make sure that, the next step would make sure that you have people that are qualified. And if they're not, if we don't have anybody qualified, then we might have to redo the qualifications possibly to make something more palatable. That people, to make sure people understand. Would you say that's a better way to say it? That they understand what the position is exactly, because I don't know if it's, we talked about not being really clear sometimes. People tend to, when they see a job application, sometimes they kind of read things into it. When we talked about a clerk typist versus what was the other position we talked about?
Typist clerk or an account clerk.
An
So
account
what we had
clerk,
discussed.
So like sometimes the semantics of it get confusing to people, and you don't always get the best people. So how many applications do we have so far?
There are 5 applicants right now, and what we had talked about is if after the closing you determine that you don't have any qualified applicants or any applicants that you want to interview before reposting it, we may just want to take a look at the job description.
So Tiff, who are they? Who's they that's going to determine whether that one of the 5 are qualified?
Well, I would assume it would be the board.
Okay. So the next step then is the board will review these 5 applicants? Is that what's going to happen?
Jamie's going to help review it, me and Marie. The 5 that we have to go through them.
So out of the 3 individuals, several will be the new commissioners versus like a Vaughn or Kim or myself that have been here for 20-plus years to look at what the qualification should be or whether or not they're qualified. Is that correct?
That's what it is right now, yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know who's determining what the qualifications are or who's got the qualifications. That all comes back to the full board
Yes.
for a vote.
Well, it is. The person has to come back to the board for a full vote, yes. Exactly.
Anything else under miscellaneous? Are there any announcements?
Go along.
St. Patrick's Day is March 20th. Get ready. Start walking and running.
I'll go ahead, Craig. We have a young lady in the chair today who's celebrating her 4th birthday if she would have been born 12 hours earlier.
Right.
Right, on leap year. So, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
No singing.
Madam Chair?
Oh, wait, hold on. I just want to make sure he was done. This is the last chance. All right, so this weekend, Saturday night, the Garber Athletic Association is hosting a night at the races. $50 ticket gets you in for dinner and drinks, and of course, they're doing the horse racing thing. There's auctions, raffles, all kinds of things that go on. Now, if you choose to not make the dinner portion, they actually sell a ticket that you can use for later in the evening for $35. It goes to 11 o'clock at night for just drinks and taking part in all the fun festivities.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to briefly update. We have an upcoming event on April 2nd, Saturday, April 2nd, with some SVSU students, Roberts Fellowship. They're doing a carnival for the Cattery event in the Fairgrounds. So we will be there. They'll have carnival games, and the funds raised will go towards updates in the Cattery. I also wanted to thank Interim Director Gale and Chris Zworski for meeting and bringing as well as the committee for approving the ShieldForce for the Animal Services Department. But those 2 in particular brought it to my attention and met, and it gave me a hands-on demonstration. I sincerely appreciated it. So I just wanted to publicly thank them.
That's great. Any other announcements?
So, Madam Chair, move to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are adjourned.